Well, happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, April the 15th, tax day. I hope you got your taxes done and all that good stuff in the year 2025. And welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tom. Well, what can I say? Another turbulent week has gone by, and who knows what will happen this week. Well, this morning I read where Harvard told the president to shove it. And so I'm sure he's real excited about that. So we'll see what happens next. But I'm proud of Harvard. Thank you, Harvard. So what's going to happen this week? Who knows? Nobody knows, because there doesn't seem to be a master plan or just a plan, period. There's a read, react, and give false praise program. That giving false praise part kind of gets me. But so this morning, I'm going to paraphrase from the great writer John Lennon by using some of his words from his song, Imagine. John Lennon wrote, "Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. There's no hell below us or above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there are no countries. It isn't hard to do, nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. But imagine all the people living life in peace." Now that takes some imagination. Now you may say, "Tom, you're a dreamer." Yeah, I am, but I'm not the only one. And I hope that someday you will join us, and maybe, just maybe, the world will live as one. Imagine there are no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger or the brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. And you may say again, "Tom, you're dreaming." Yeah, but I'm not the only one. And I hope that someday you will join us, and maybe, if not the world, maybe the United States can live as one. Thank you, John Lennon. Our G-list guest today is Myko Lyric. Myko is a multidisciplinary artist and holistic health coach from Los Angeles. She trains at Alvin Ailey, the Debbie Allen Dance Academy, Northwestern University, and earned a BFA from NYU Tisch, along with a holistic health coaching certification from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. Myko's work spans music, dance, acting, writing, and health advisement, and she is passionate about the intersection of artistry and wellness. Myko performed the song "Happy" with the singer and songwriter Pharrell Williams at the 2014 Oscars in Hollywood. And also, in full disclosure, Myko is my wife's niece, or should I say Myko is our niece. And we look forward to having her, and we look forward to having that conversation. Our show today, of course, is brought to you by the consulting firm of Best Girl Inc. Let's catch up to Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Best Girl continues to customize the solution that fits your needs. So let's go to the round table and talk with this morning with Barbara Wallace Edwards and Michael Walker. Good morning, Barbara Wallace Edwards. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you this morning?
I'm doing just great. What's going on in your world?
Well, Tom, one of the things I wanted to mention is certain owners of GM General Motors vehicles could be entitled to a huge sum of money as part of a settlement, a $35 million settlement, actually. So if you own a Silverado Silverado or a Sierra, there have been some issues with those cars, and there's a top class action suit and settlement in place right now. So if you're owning one of those cars, go out there and check to see if you've had, especially if you've had any issues. Each owner could receive up to over $12,000 as part of the settlement. So, there's been quite a few of those type of situations lately, and want to remind our viewers to go out and check and see if there's anything that they might be entitled to as a part of that settlement.
Okay, good deal.
Yes.
All right. Good morning, Michael Walker. How are you, brother?
I'm doing well, TG. I hope you're doing well this morning.
And I'm doing very good. Thank you. What's happening in your world?
Well, there's several things out here. Barbara, good morning to you. I
Good
hope
morning.
you're doing well.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that we're in an interesting time, and it seems that the more and more we advance, the less and less we get good quality service. And what I mean by that, just imagine this: a newlywed 27-year-old young lady had to lie to get a colonoscopy. It was caught stage 4 cancers after the doctors had dismissed her symptoms. And they say, you know your body better than anyone else. Well, that was the case with this young lady. Her name was Sydney Stoner. She was suffering from severe symptoms, but it was dismissed by doctors because of her young age. The then 27 decided to lie about having blood in her stool in order to get a referral for a colonoscopy, which ultimately led to her stage 4 bowel cancer diagnosis.
Damn.
That's sad.
Yeah, that's tough.
So they were just going to dismiss it, saying that there's nothing wrong with her.
Yeah. And saying that she was too young to have anything serious.
Wow.
I mean, what do you say about that? She's 27. You are the doctor. She's telling you that she has issues. Why don't you go ahead and do what you're supposed to do? Just do your damn job. Instead, you're going to tell her, you're going to dismiss it. And she had to lie that she had blood in her stool.
Most of the issues come from it's caused by the insurance companies, the restrictions they put on the doctors to say, if you perform this particular surgery, a particular procedure, and it doesn't, certain diagnosis or certain symptoms are not present, then insurance won't pay for it. So in some cases, they're trying to protect their patients, I'm sure, from having to pay those costs out of pocket. But at the same time, like you say, each individual knows their body better than anyone else. And you shouldn't have to lie. But I know in many cases, that's the situation. Rather than them going ahead and performing the procedure, there's nothing wrong. And then the patient has to pay for that particular procedure out of pocket, which can be rather costly. So it's a catch-22. I understand the position the doctors are in. But at the same time, patients' lives are important. And you have to weigh out the balances, balance the differences there.
Well, just think about this. If that had not occurred, and this is stage 4 cancer, so that's very advanced.
Aggressive, yes.
Okay. So let's just say what you played out was the case. They didn't do anything. She lost her life. Now we got a lawsuit coming,
right,
for malpractice and negligence, and then the loss of life.
Oh, I totally understand what you're saying. I agree with you, but I'm just trying to provide some rationales maybe doctors were thinking and why they didn't want to perform the procedure. But I'm with you all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
It's a shame. You got to be your own advocate nowadays.
You do. You really do.
And there used to be a thought, and I would say this, and I'll speak for myself and probably us because we're baby boomers, but when we were young, you always felt like if you were going to the doctor, if you had an issue, it would be taken care of.
Right.
You kind of had that faith that, I'm going to the doctor, I'll be well.
Right.
That's not the case anymore.
You didn't kind of have faith. You had faith.
Had faith. Yeah.
You knew that this person was going to take care of you. And maybe that's not altogether the case anymore.
No,
it's not.
In some cases,
You have to know your rights and fight for what you believe is the right thing to do. And there's a lot of different reasons and information that goes into those decisions, and each patient has to be their own advocate. But there's so many elderly people and young people that don't know to fight for their rights. They don't know to speak up for themselves, and they just accept it for what it is. And later on, there's a lot of issues down the road that can result in serious illnesses, deaths, and it is just a sad situation.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit of football. So what about this Tennessee quarterback? He's leaving. I don't really know what the whole thing was. They had said it was all about NIL, but now his dad has come back and said that Tennessee doesn't run the offense that's conducive to the NFL. That was his reason, more so than the NIL. Thoughts? Any thoughts?
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy.
If that's the case, then why not just transfer to a team that suits your skill set or runs an offense that suits your skill set? Why go in and talk to Tennessee and demand you want a raise from $2 million to $4 million? Okay.
I'm just laughing because it's just so different today. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, hey, if the guy can get $4 million, great, I guess. I don't know. I just don't know how the other guys on the team feel. I mean, if Junebug's making $4 million and I'm getting my $15 a month laundry check, I'm gonna be pissed off. Y'all got to do
right,
something
Tom.
for me.
Right.
And so I don't know. It's I don't know what they're gonna do, man. It's a little bit. Seems like it's out of control.
It is,
so,
but many people are comparing it to the coaches. Coaches leave for more money. Why can't the players do the same thing?
I don't have any problem with the leaving, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about there's just a lot. There's a lot involved in it now.
The problem I have with it is he didn't show up for practice the day before the spring game. He just didn't show up. He didn't communicate to anyone. He cut off all communications with the coaches. That would be an issue. His teammates feel like he abandoned them, and so they're not supporting him. He didn't communicate to any of them that he was not going to show up. He just didn't show up for practice and didn't show up for the spring game. Cut off all communications with any of his teammates and the coaches. And
well, I think okay, and maybe it's introducing money into the equation. I don't know, but that type of behavior, you didn't do that back in the day.
Right.
You gonna skip practice the day before?
Right.
No, man. They'd be looking for your body somewhere.
Right.
Maybe from the coaches, but maybe from some of your teammates.
Teammates, yes. They say he even threatened to not be a no-show during the playoffs. He was starting to renegotiate his contract back that far back, during the playoffs as well. And so I guess this is his carryover. And he was determined he was going to get more money and forced Tennessee to go ahead and re-sign him. Or he just wasn't going to show up.
So Tom, if you were playing that left tackle position, you may not block for him. You may let that guy beat you around that corner.
Well, I mean, it is. I wouldn't do that. But I don't know now. It's different, And so I don't know. Maybe I understand a little more now why Nick Saban said, "Hey, I don't want anything else to do with this."
Right.
This is just out of control. and maybe it seems to be. I mean, you're gonna. I saw where one of the women who got drafted into the WNBA, she had been at 5 schools over 7 years. It's like, my God, how can you do that? You know, and so there maybe there's not any. Maybe there's not the allegiance, I guess, to an institution. Well, obviously they're not. But then I think the institutions, I think the NCAA kind of allowed this to happen, because it said, we were kind of indentured servants. And so who knows?
But Tom, they said that Myko, is it Amaliba? Is his last name? The guy from Tennessee. They said he saw Michigan strike a $10 million deal with a high school quarterback who hadn't played a single game nor taken a single snap at the college level, and made a business decision to ask for more money because he felt like he was more valuable to his team than this little high school quarterback that's coming in making $10 million. So, I mean, again, I can sort of understand his rationale behind that. He's like, hey, he took his team to the playoffs. They had a great season, even though, he wasn't a perfect quarterback, but he certainly felt like he's stronger and better than a high school senior that got a $10 million deal. So,
well, I don't know. I mean, who knows? I don't know anything about it. So, do they sign for certain periods of time? If he signed a 3-year contract, then he's got to honor a 3-year contract.
I don't know if it's Michael. You may know it. Is it a year-to-year thing, or it's? I mean, I don't know if they actually sign anything. Surely they do, but
I'm not sure.
I've never heard anything about him breaking a contract. He just let the team down and let his coaches down.
Evidently, well, I shouldn't say evidently, but it leads me to believe that if there is anything in writing, it's very loosely written.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because there was a guy, I think in Las Vegas last year, he walked off the field or didn't show up because Las Vegas had promised to pay him a certain amount of money. He hadn't received it, as I heard. And he left. So that contract thing kind of goes both ways. But let me propose this to you. Do you support the decision that the head coach at Tennessee made, which was like, hey, you're out. I'm not gonna be extorted by you. You're not gonna blackmail me. How do you feel about that decision?
I agree with that. I think it's right. He can't let a player hold the team hostage. And because what's to stop the next player from doing the same thing?
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of an echo here. I hear you. I don't know, man. I don't know enough about the facts. And, I just know that it's a much different game than it was back in the day. And, but I don't know. The coaches are making so much money, and the players are looking at the coaches and thinking, "Wow, well, if he can make this, why can I can't make this?" I don't know.
Well, what about Harvard telling Trump, "Hey, we don't care about you taking your $9 billion. We're going to continue with our DEI program, and do what we do."
I am so proud of Harvard for standing up to the administration and saying that, and I wish more schools would do the same thing, because that's what it's going to take. To get your measly dollars. We've got our donors that will give money to the schools, and we're okay with that. We're going to continue to do the right thing, and I do wish more schools would do the same thing.
I can concur. I think that it's good that Harvard drew a line in the sand and decided we're not going to allow you to bully us.
Right.
And, MIT, from what I hear, MIT and other schools are following their lead and pushing back on that.
That's good.
So I think that's a good thing. I know that Harvard has maybe different leverage because they are a private institution.
And have
so
a huge endowment.
Yes.
Yes, they have about 50 something billion dollars in their endowment. So, but as the guy I saw CNN last night, and they talked about this indefinitely, or in detail, I should say, sound like it was indefinitely because they're all talking all over everybody. But anyway, he mentioned that this $9 billion really goes to support programs to help people that are disenfranchised that Harvard sponsors. And that's what it's really. So it's hurting other people because it's earmarked for special projects, you know. And that's the thing about this process that's being taken by the Trump administration. And we all know this, and everybody says this, they've just taken a hacksaw and gone out cutting things. And you know, we talk about how history repeats itself. All this stuff we're doing, we've been through this before. But one thing that I saw over the weekend, I was watching a show, and they were talking about the history of politics, Republicans and Democrats. But this thing about cutting out waste and all of this, Reagan tried that, and some private businessman gave him like a 2,000-page document to go in and cut waste and stuff. A lot of people got mad with Reagan because Reagan didn't implement that. He stayed kind of moderate and what have you. But what I found ironic is that under Bill Clinton, the vice president, Al Gore, he did the same thing. But what he did was, and this is something I had told people and I didn't know this, he created, say, groups of people to go and look at each department. And he sat down with the departments to find out how they operated and what they could cut, and got input from them and cut. And according to the documentary I saw, saved the government over $140 billion. And we didn't have all this chaos that we're having now.
I mean, they actually had a plan, huh?
Yes. That's the difference. That is the difference.
And then, you know, and nobody likes a bully.
Right.
You know, if you've got a legitimate argument, make it. Right. And go and sit down and talk to the people like you just said they did during that administration. But just to tell people you can't do this and you can't do this, and all this silliness about DEI, it's so silly because there's nothing wrong with DEI. And they have turned it into a negative, and it was a positive. If you go back and look at all of the comments from the CEOs of the major corporations and how and unless they were just lying, they had nothing but praise for DEI.
Right.
And, you know, it's just, I don't know. He's, yeah. Nobody likes a bully. And,
right, Tom. Right.
And we had a bully at my elementary school, Collis Cannon. We call him Collis Cannonball Head. And Collis liked to pick on people. And I think I was in the 2nd, 3rd grade. He was in the 4th grade. He picked on me. And one day he hit me, and I just automatic response. I hit him back. And hell, he started crying. I said, oh, hell. You
Big
I'm
bully.
gonna hit you again.
You're right.
I love it. I love it. That's hilarious.
Most bullies are like that, though. They're just, you know, they're just all talking and nothing else. And, you know, you stand up to them and they'll back down.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Tom, that reminds me of an incident I had. You guys remember when the bikes came out, they had those Schwinn bikes with the stick shift on it, you know, and they were real, and the banana seats and all that.
Yeah.
My grandfather bought me a purple one, you know, and it was 5-speed. It was tight, man. I had it tricked out. I went up the street to the corner store, and this guy named Roby, you know, I guess, you know, he was jealous because I had this bike. It was brand new and stuff. And I go in the store to get something because you park your bike outside. He jump on my bike and take off down the street and just go riding off on my bike and stuff. And I'm like, oh, hell. My grandfather already told me, don't let anybody ride your bike because if they break it, they don't have the money to pay for it. So, all this stuff, I'm like, oh man, I got to go through all this and stuff. So he finally brought it back, and I figured, okay, next time he do this, I'm gonna fix it. So what I did was I went up to the store the next day. He was standing out there. I walked into the store, and he ran and jumped on my back. I came off the back out of the store, and I grabbed him by the back of the collar. I hog-tied him, like they call a flag on the NFL when you grab somebody by the collar. He tried to take off. I yanked him off the back of him. He hit that concrete, and just like you, Tom, that was it.
That was it. He didn't bother you anymore.
Yeah. He didn't mess with me anymore.
That's what you have to
do. Sometimes you have to fight back.
Yes.
And I just think that maybe Harvard would give some courage to some of the other institutions. You give respect. Okay, you're the president of the country, so you get respect for being that. And you're from the Congress, so you get respect for being there. I don't know where Musk is. I don't know why he deserves any respect.
None.
But you give respect, but then again, you can't abuse the respect that you get. And
it's hard to respect people that are like that, Tom. They're just bullies again. They're just saying things to get a reaction or doing things to make other people angry, and it's hard to respect people like that.
Yeah.
Somebody,
they had the Masters this weekend. Did you guys know that purse for the Masters was over? I think the purse breakdown for the Masters. The first place won $4.2 million.
Okay.
Wow. Now it's funny how it goes all the way down to the 50th player, won $52,920.
Wow.
For coming in 50th. Okay. That's not bad for a Sunday afternoon to go down there and hit a golf ball and come in at 50. And then the remainder of the prizes go down from 51,660, depending on the scores. And all of the professionals that did not qualify for the final 36 holes, they got 25,000.
I wonder how El Pate did, the duck. He just got out of prison. And his nickname was El Pate, the duck. And he was everybody liked him. He was pretty he was a Latin player. And I saw where he got out of prison last week, and he was gonna play in the Masters. So I was just curious as to how he did. If he was able to practice in prison, I don't know. Here's another one. And Michael, I was going to ask you this. I get solicitations from people pretty much daily who either want to buy our business or want to try to sell me something that they're doing that would enhance our business. So I just got one just now. And this guy says, well, would you be interested in a podcast? If you're going to solicit somebody, why don't you do a little bit of research?
Yeah.
just a teeny bit of research would have saved him that embarrassment, know. I don't respond to him because if you respond to him, that's all they want to do is get you in a conversation.
Right.
True.
Anyway, anything else?
Well, Tom, I want to mention one more thing. People, please pay attention to your homeowners association dues. If you have to pay dues, don't disregard it. There's this woman in North Carolina who disregarded her $400 homeowners association dues 6-7 years ago, and she kept getting notices, from the homeowners association, and she had a disagreement with them about something, so she didn't pay it. Well, she ended up losing her $850,000 home because of a $400 payment. One
$400 payment?
One $400 payment. And she said she kept getting the notices, but she thought it was a joke. And so she disregarded it. And the house went up for auction, sold for over $850,000. And she just lost it. So don't ever take those things for granted. Try to negotiate with them, work it out, whatever. But take legal action if you have to. But it's too late for her. I mean, her house is gone and she has nothing for it. So it is a serious matter.
Somebody sends you a bill, you got to pay it, or you got to at least talk to them.
Exactly. Can't ignore it.
Okay, anything else? Let's move on. Sean's got a minute for us. Sean, are you out there somewhere?
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute. It's April 15th, and on this day in 1912, the Titanic, a massive British ocean liner that carried 2,200 passengers and crew, struck an iceberg and sank into the North Atlantic Ocean. The Titanic was thought to be the world's fastest ship. It spanned 883 feet from stern to bow, and its hull was divided into 16 compartments that were presumed to be watertight. Because 4 of these compartments could be flooded without causing a critical loss of buoyancy, the Titanic was considered unsinkable. However, just before midnight on April 14th, the RMS Titanic failed to divert its course from an iceberg and ruptured at least 5 of its hull compartments. These compartments filled with water and pulled down the bow of the ship. Because the Titanic's compartments were not capped at the top, water from the ruptured compartments filled each succeeding compartment, causing the bow to sink and the stern to be raised at an almost vertical position above the water. Then the Titanic broke in half, and at about 2:20 a.m. on April 15th, the stern and bow had sank to the ocean floor. In its disaster's aftermath, rules were adopted requiring that each ship have lifeboat space for each person on board and that lifeboat drills be held. The International Ice Patrol was established to monitor icebergs in the North Atlantic shipping lanes. It is also required that ships maintain a 24-hour radio watch. Happy sailing. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
Sean. So let's go to our G list. Hollywood has the A list, and here on Tuesdays with Tom, we have the G list. Our G list guest today is Myko Lyric. Myko is a multidisciplinary artist and holistic health coach from Los Angeles. She trained at Alvin Ailey, the Debbie Allen Dance Academy, Northwestern, and she earned a BFA from NYU Tisch, along with a holistic health and coach certification, from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. She is the founder of Lyrique, a wellness workshop for performers. She has led sessions nationwide, including at Harvard University and at Best Girl. Currently, she's crafting her debut album with some surprises ahead. And we were very proud of her in 2014 when she performed the song Happy with the singer and songwriter Pharrell Williams at the 2014 Oscars in Hollywood. She's also an art and culture journalist for the Los Angeles Sentinel. So good morning, Miss Myko. How are you?
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
We're doing fine. Thank you for getting up early.
Of course, thank you for getting me up early. It's nice to be up so early.
So what's going on in your world? Tell me what's happening. What are you working on now?
Right now I'm working. I just actually had a Lyrique workshop on Friday, so just doing some post stuff from that and getting ready for the next one. As you said in that bio, I'm also working on my debut album, so I'm recording a lot and still dancing a lot as well.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's let Barbara and Michael throw a couple of questions at you, and we got some photos we want to show.
Okay.
Good morning, Myko. Thank you so much for joining us. And your career, I mean, for you to be a young lady, you've accomplished so much. Talk about your interest in dancing and music, and what motivated you to move in that direction.
My mom made me get in dance class when I was 3 years old, and that's just how that happened. And I started to realize how much I loved it. And then I got more serious about it as I was older. I went to a public school, a public high school, but it was a really great music academy, and they had a great dance program. And that really just dug into me how important dance is to me. And then I got to see different companies, of course, like Alvin Ailey, and it gave me like a compass of where I wanted to go. And dance also influenced, it still influences me a lot musically. I just, there's such deep messages that I grew up dancing to, and I realized that that is something that I wanted to bring more into my music. And yeah, they both mean so much to me, and they're intertwined.
Awesome. That's great.
Michael?
Well, good morning, Myko.
Myko.
Thanks for being with us. I wanted to ask you a question. It says that you are a multidisciplinary artist
Yes.
and a holistic health coach. Tell me, what are the different disciplines that you practice to become multidisciplinary?
So I'm a dancer, but growing up in Los Angeles, I got very interested in acting as well, especially with the influence of my Uncle Tom. And so I got more into acting and more into musical theater as well. I started singing, and then I started writing music. So it all combined, and I ended up studying musical theater at NYU. But because I love all three things so much, I do just call myself a multidisciplinary artist because, yeah, it's many things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you born with a voice to sing? Because, you know, some people can't carry a tune in a bucket. So how did that happen for you?
I think that I was born with a gift, but it was definitely something I had to hone and still have to hone. It's not something that I know, like I have many different musician friends who just came out the womb sounding like Whitney Houston. They just did. And that is not my story. It's something that I definitely had to like fine tune more so than even dance or acting. So it's been a journey with singing. Singing of all three has definitely been a journey.
So tell us about Lyrique and what it is that you offer to your participants.
So Lyrique, the idea for Lyrique came, I've been teaching holistic health for years after I got my certification. But specifically, Lyrique came a few months ago. I was in Barcelona and I was trying to think of just a bigger way that I could contribute outside of art. And Lyrique is really a recalibration workshop. In my estimation, I think that a lot of people are high functioning but unhappy. They're not happy. It's high functioning unhappiness. And Lyrique is my version of a response to that, which is basically looking at different areas of your life that contribute to you being healthy. It's not just physical health or nutrition or exercise. Those are huge parts of health, but it's not just that. The former US Surgeon General actually stated that loneliness is a public health epidemic, and loneliness and social interactions are a huge part of our health. And so that was just the mindset that I went into it when thinking of Lyrique and creating it, is just being able to help people look at other aspects of their lives, their creativity, their education, their home environment, their spirituality and their relationship to God, and, you know, just assess their happiness maybe from a different angle that isn't just career and finances.
Barbara?
Yeah. Michael, you've had an opportunity to work with the Alvin Ailey dancers and Debbie Allen. Talk about those experiences and what that has meant to you.
Alvin Ailey, that was incredible. As I said, I went to NYU, but I would often take dance classes at Alvin Ailey. And that was really great because it reminded me a lot of my training when I was in high school, and just the kind of training that's offered at the Debbie Allen Dance Academy. But, and then I got to do the summer intensive, which is a professional intensive. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done. It was just a tiny fraction of how much the Ailey company trains. And it taught me so much, and it really humbled me of how much I have to work and how much they work to make something look so effortless. And it just helps me fall in love with dance all over again. At the Debbie Ellen Dance Academy, I train with Karen McDonald, who's their director and their modern dance instructor. She also was the teacher at the high school I was telling you about.
Okay.
And she has probably had the most profound impact on my life outside of anyone in my family. I actually just wrote an article about her in the Sentinel, which felt great because I wanted to give her her flowers. But yes, she really just changes my life on a daily. One of her quotes and the things she says all the time is, you don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be phenomenal. And that's just something I take in with me.
That.
It's amazing. It's so good. It's good for everything. It's not just dance. It's just how you live, how you move in life. And I think it really helped shape who I am now.
Awesome. Thank you.
So, let me see. Em, can we put that photo of Myko up with her class? And you can tell us about this. Tell us about this photo.
That's funny. I'm sorry, what was your question?
I said, tell us about this photo. What happened in this photo?
Oh, okay, got you. So this was at the dance studio. I actually just did a lyric workshop at a dance studio, which I've never done at a dance studio. So we mixed a little bit of dance into it. Everybody who went wasn't necessarily like a professional dancer, but they did want some kind of blend of dance and, learning about holistic health. So that was really cool. It made me happy. I've never done it in that format. So it made me want to teach more at a dance studio, but blend it with the holistic health and not just teach a dance class.
So I get a lot of, my daughter wants to be an actor. Tell her what to do. It's not that simple.
I feel like I've said that to you and asked you that.
How do you handle when people approach you and they say, I've got a young daughter that wants to do this? Where do you start? And and the thing about the entertainment business is everybody's journey is different. Everybody's journeys. There isn't a roadmap that you just do, unless your dad is Brad Pitt or somebody. But go ahead.
I think the best way I can answer it is just by reflecting on my mistakes and things that I wish I had known. And I do think, especially for dance, I had worked a little bit harder when I was younger. Unfortunately, dance is one of those things where you're professional by like 16, 17. So if they were asking me about dance, I would just say to get in class. There'd be a lot of times when I was complacent about taking maybe 3 or 4 classes a week when many people were in 10, and I know that we don't always like to hear that we have to work harder, but sometimes you do. And that's something that I do wish that I had done in certain creative aspects when I was younger, specifically in dance, just to set me up in a different way as an adult, because that's kind of the way that we're moving. Is a lot of people are doing very like professional things at a young age, and you kind of have to set the bar up.
Okay, well, your aunt says hello.
Hi, Auntie Joyce.
Michael, Barbara.
Myko, if someone is interested in booking you for a lyric workshop, how could they contact you and what should they expect at that workshop?
Okay, well, first, if they want to contact me, they can email lyric@mykolyric.com. And what should they expect? There's a lot of different things that we offer, but one thing they should always expect is, as I explained, a recalibration workshop. Basically, just getting to balance. I really love teaching that workshop specifically for students at universities and also employees at corporations and organizations, because I think both struggle with balance. Students struggle with balancing their major, and employees struggle with the work-life balance that can often affect their productivity down the line. So those are 2 things that I always try to address, or not even try. That's kind of the core aspect I have to address whenever I teach a workshop. So that's something they can expect.
Right.
Let me say, when you're in the entertainment business, you're an entertainer, but you're also a salesperson. So when you give how people can contact you, you need to do that again and do it slowly and spell lyric so that they can.
Here we go. So it's lyric@mykolyric.com, which is LYRIC QUE at Myko, MYKO, lyric, LYRIC.com.
Okay.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. I know I tend to talk fast, so thanks for slowing me down.
Who's got a comment? Anybody? Michael, Barbara?
Michael, I'd like to ask you, you said something earlier about loneliness and the population that is suffering from loneliness.
Yeah.
In your work, and usually we contribute loneliness to aging people or senior citizens, so to speak, that live alone.
Yeah.
That's not always the case. You can be lonely and not be a senior citizen, so to
Absolutely.
speak, and live alone. What would you say is the root cause of loneliness? We know what loneliness means, you feel alone, but what have you found in your practice is the root cause of loneliness, and how do you coach somebody out of feeling alone?
That's a great question. I think that there's two aspects. One of them I can talk about just for the recent generation with social media. I think social media is a huge reason for loneliness. It creates a facade of a community, but nobody's there in person. Um, just going into a more digital age in general, you're reaching out to people online via text, all these things, but you don't have people there. And that's a huge reason for loneliness. And then I think a broader reason, I've noticed just insecurity and not knowing if you want to reach out to that community or be in that community, if you'll be accepted there. And sometimes it just feels safer to be alone and to not have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations and social environments. That's something I've definitely noticed. But I think that too stems from, I can only speak for myself and what I've seen in people my age, but that too stems from social media and not being taught how to interact with people in social, real environments. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you have a different idea. I'd love to hear it, but that's one of the things that I believe is a huge reason for loneliness.
Well, I would like to just say that I agree with you. I think social media has a lot to do with it. I also think that I will just say our young people that are in your age that grew up with social media, I think it impacted their ability to develop interpersonal relationship skills.
Absolutely.
And they have a hard time being able to go into a room full of strangers and be able to interact with them because they haven't been taught of how to look and identify a commonality so they can strike up a conversation. But they're so quick to grab their phone and they don't have to talk to anybody.
Exactly. You just look busy. I'm busy.
Right.
Yeah, I'm busy. Don't bother me. Right.
Yes.
And stuff. And I feel like they're gonna miss knowing how to develop those core relationships, which would prevent them from being lonely.
Yeah.
You know, the social media is just an add-on in my opinion.
Yes.
But when you look at senior citizens, I think seniors tend to be lonely because sometimes, I'm not speaking for everybody, sometimes their health deteriorates. And so they don't want to be out with other people when they're not able to be as mobile.
Yeah.
So they kind of withdraw from that standpoint. And then the more you withdraw and not be sociable, the more you alienate yourself from people. And then nobody ever calls you. You don't call anybody else. And it just continues to sink into despair. That's what I've seen with seniors. And I think we have to do something with people. And when I say seniors, I'm not talking like Tom, because he runs out and rides his bike every morning.
I know.
I'm talking like, old people like me that can't get around, and I sit around all day and stuff, trying to figure out what to do.
Thank you for that. Because that is, yes, I 100% agree with you. I've seen that in my own life where I've had to reach more out to, like, even my grandma, because I noticed she was pulling back a little bit. So I do see that. And I just appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
I think and Nathaniel Rutledge writes in the chat, you can actually be lonely in a crowd of people.
That's
Mhm.
true.
Especially if you don't feel seen.
Right.
You know, man, I can be alone and I ain't lonely at all.
There's some people who are alone who are not lonely. They want,
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
that solitude.
Have conversations with myself, talk to myself, and
Me too.
you know, I just, I don't know. I just
Do you answer your own questions, Tom, when you talk to yourself?
I don't answer them. No, that's the thing. you ask them and answer them, something's wrong with you.
You know, as you two said that you don't have a problem being alone. I don't either, but I think part of my confidence of being alone is the fact that I was raised as if I were an only child.
Oh.
And because of that, growing up and living with my grandparents as an only child, I was forced to grow up much faster. And I was forced to be more independent. And I was forced to entertain myself, so to speak. You know, and I remember going out in the front yard and playing football by myself. In other words, I hike the ball to myself, I drop back and act like I'm Joe Namath, and I look this way, and I throw a bomb and I'll run down and catch it over here.
Superman.
Hey,
I'm doing it all.
there was a great commercial. I don't know. This is a long time ago. And the big kids were out there playing basketball. And when it got dark, the big kids left. And this little kid was out there. And so he was the only time he got to play. And he's playing by himself. And so he's dribbling and he's calling. He said, and he dribbles across court. He said, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And he shot and he missed. And he said, he was fouled. I used to do a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
That's creative.
So we've got. Let's see. We got another photo of Myko here. Let's see. Can
Where
we
are you
put
getting all these photos from, Uncle Tom?
Let's see. Can we put another one up, please?
Oh my God.
Awesome.
Look at that.
Look at that Ford.
There's another dance photo too. I think we can show her. That's great. Look at you.
That's me.
Do you remember taking that photo?
I do. Yeah, that was freshman year of NYU. I was in a dance club, and one of the dancers in it was in I think she had a photography major, and so she just took pictures of all the members. So we got some good photos. My 4 years, I got some good dance photos.
I think we got at least one more. Can we put it?
Oh, look at that.
There they are. Goodness gracious. I forget how tall he is.
I recognize Tom. I don't know who that big guy is.
That was fun. Wasn't that at the United Nations?
Yeah, when we went to the IQLA.
Okay,
That's
good.
the Quality of Life
that was
Awards.
great.
That was great.
That was
That was great. Okay,
Michael, I gotta say that in that photograph, the first one, you could really tell you were in your element. You were just totally immersed in what you were doing. There was nothing else in the universe but you in that picture right there.
In the dance one?
Yes.
Yes.
That's how I feel when I dance. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
definitely
It comes out. Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
can see it.
Yeah, there's
And you were
no
pretty
one
high
else,
up off
nothing
the floor.
else.
Oh, yeah.
It's because I'm small. I'm short. I'm 5'1". It's not a lot to get me off the ground. So get up there.
Perfect Ford.
One final thing. You write for the Los Angeles Sentinel, which I was involved in a little bit while I was out there. How'd you get interested in that?
Actually, my best friend works for them. She's a digital editor for them, and they needed a proofreader. And I was like, well, I don't mind the extra income. And then they asked if I would like to write articles. And I had never written I love writing, but I've never written from a journalist perspective. So I didn't know how I'd like it, but I turned out to really love it. And even going back to the loneliness that we were talking about, I'm an only child. And so I noticed that I wasn't always great at networking and, social interactions. I am a child of social media, and the Sentinel and getting people interviewed and like networking for them has helped me broaden my own community. So it's really been such a gift and a godsend. So I love working for them and writing interviews and just meeting incredible people in Los Angeles.
And I've read a couple of your articles, and they're really good.
Thank you. Thank you so
great.
much.
I went back and read some articles that I had written in
Oh,
college.
yeah? Oh.
And, when I was working for the Plainsman in Auburn, and I read it, it was like, ooh, I don't know if this is good or not.
Yeah, I want to read it. Send it to me. That's awesome.
They published it. So
there you go.
I hear you. Anything else? Myko, you got anything else you want to share with us?
I just enjoyed, hearing what you were talking about before. I couldn't chime in obviously, but loved what you were talking about with Harvard. I thought that was a beautiful stance that they took. And I hope that more schools who get such similar large endowments make that, stance or take that stance as well. And I'm just grateful for you guys for talking about that and creating positive news, because right now there's a lot that's going on, and there's not much that's being talked about that's positive. So I appreciate you.
So you say you're 5'1". When we were, you came from Los Angeles, and then you went to college in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when we were up there one of the times, and boy, you would just be rushing through those people in New York walk fast. And you'd be pushing them out your way.
But they don't even notice because I'm so small. It's like the wind. They're like, who was that?
I think she's adjusted to me.
Yes. Fully adjusted.
That's great.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate
you. Thank you.
Have a great day. Hey, I'd like to close my closing comment for today is I want to give some shout outs. And one of the first shout out goes to Anthony and Cheryl Tedisky, who sent us, my wife and I, a nice Easter card. And thank you for that. We appreciate it very much. Happy birthday this Saturday to my wife. Her birthday is coming up. We're looking forward to celebrating with you. Happy birthday to our son Dixon, whose birthday is next week. Also, my dad's birthday is this month, but unfortunately, Daddy left us 3 years ago. He'd be nearly 100 years old now. He was 96 when he passed. I still miss him. He was my buddy. I want to give a shout out to my brother-in-law, Ernest, who has a serious health issue. And just to say that we're praying for you, man. I want to say condolences to my friend Dick, who lost his wife this past week. We wish you well, Dick, and be strong. And I want to say, give a shout out to Pat Eddington, who introduced us to the Excelsior Band, Inc. on the band's 140th year anniversary. They will be on the show on April the 29th. And Pat, we look forward to having them, and thank you for connecting us with them. Let's see. And I think that is our show for today. We want to thank the audience. We appreciate you. We want to thank our G-List guest, Myko Lyric. Thank our sponsor, Best Girl Inc. Thanks again to the TWT team, Barbara, Sean, Emily, Michael, and Joyce. And that's it for this April 15th in the year 2025. And that's our show for today. Thank the audience. We appreciate you again. So let's see. And remember, a day without a smile is a day wasted. Enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Peace.